Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. If I could please have your attention before we begin our service, I'd like to out of respect to the family ask anyone with a cell phone to kindly silence it for the family's privacy. There's a large crowd here today. We have the United States Army here. So in the beginning of our ceremony, we're going to give full military honors to Jerry at this time, followed by a chanter service concluding in our funeral home service. Thank you. I'd call the United States Army to come forward, please.
On behalf of the President of the United States Army, and a grateful nation, please accept this flag as a symbol of our appreciation for your loved one's honorable and faithful servicemen.
I would like to take this opportunity to thank the United States Army for being here, concluding military honors at this time for which our service will continue with our cantor, Florence Friedman. She'll be concluding our services here at our funeral chapel. Thank you.
We are assembled with our friends and family in the darkness that has fallen upon them. We raise our voices together to the source of life, asking for comfort and strength. We need light when gloom darkens our lives. We need fortitude and courage when pain and loss assail us. May we find these in God, who preserves from destruction all that is good. Let us find them too in loved ones and companions who do God's work by binding up the wounds of the stricken. Who among us has not passed through trials and bereavements? Some bear fresh wounds in their hearts, and therefore feel more keenly the kinship of sorrow. Others, whose days of mourning are more remote, still recall the comfort that sympathy brought to their sorrowing hearts. May our sharing of sorrow and our deeds of solace bring comfort to the loved ones of Jerry. Mourning is a time filled with many emotions and memories, both bitter and sweet. So we continue our service with the recitation of psalms and prayers, thus linking Jerry's life with the millennia-old tradition of the people of Israel and the eternity of God. Esainai el hecharim me'ayin yavo ezri me'im Adonai useh shamayim ba'aretz. I turn my eyes to the mountains, from where will my help come? My help comes from Adonai, maker of heaven and earth. God will not let your foot give way. Your guardian will not slumber. See, the guardian of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. Adonai is your guardian. Adonai is your protection at your right hand. By day the sun will not strike you, nor the moon by night. Adonai will guard you from all harm. God will guard your life. Adonai will guard your going and coming, now and forever. A poem, The Sacred Pilgrimage, by Rabbi Alan Fine. Birth is a beginning, and death a destination, and life is a journey, from childhood to maturity and youth to age, from innocence to awareness, and ignorance to knowing, from foolishness to discretion, and then perhaps back to wisdom, from weakness to strength, or strength to weakness, and often back again, from health to sickness, and back we pray to health again, from offense to forgiveness, from loneliness to love, from joy to gratitude, from pain to compassion, and grief to understanding, from fear to faith, from defeat to defeat, until, looking backward or ahead, we see that victory lies not at some high place along the way, but in having made the journey, stage by stage, a sacred pilgrimage. Birth is a beginning, and death a destination, and life is a journey, a sacred pilgrimage to life everlasting. From Ecclesiastes, Kohelet. La cause man le kol chefetz tachat hashamayim, et la ledet vet lamut, et l'ta'at ve'et la'akorenatua, et laharov ve'et lirpo, et livrov ve'et livnot, et livkot ve'et lishov, et sukkot ve'et lichot. There is a time for everything, a time for every experience under heaven, a time for being born and a time for dying, a time for planting and a time for uprooting the planted, a time for destroying and a time for healing, a time for tearing down and a time for building up, a time for weeping and a time for laughing, a time for wailing and a time for dancing, a time for throwing stones and a time for gathering stones, a time for embracing and a time for refraining from embraces, a time for seeking and a time for losing, a time for keeping and a time for discarding, a time for tearing and a time for sowing, a time for silence and a time for speaking, a time for loving and a time for hating, a time of war and a time for peace. So at this point, we have some eulogies from different members of the family who want to express their heartfelt words on their loss. So I call up Judy, Jerry's wife of 27 years, and we'll begin.
Gerald Weissman was born in the Bronx on June 26, 1936, and died in Bridgewater, New Jersey on October 23, 2016. During this journey of 80 years, he influenced the lives of his loved ones, friends, colleagues, clients, and indirectly, hundreds of middle school and high school students in our area. I have been told that to his three daughters, Liz, Abby, and Susie, he was an attentive, fun-loving dad with definite ideas about the importance of education, honesty, diligence, and integrity. He emphasized hard work and the need to set goals, and in the summers to have fun at the Cape. He coached their softball teams, mowed the lawn, shoveled the snow, all while working many hours in the week to establish his professional mark as a certified public accountant. While he was not a fan of the family cat, the feeling was mutual. He could never go to sleep at night until he knew that all three daughters were safely home at night. To his clients, he was a trusted professional whose opinion and advice was well respected. He was particularly proud of his accounting projections, which were always on target. I have been told that many clients eagerly awaited his visits to their office, not only for his acumen, but because he became a loyal friend and mentor. In the course of getting the work completed, Jerry would blend in interesting discussions about the latest movie, play, or book, or visits with our 12 wonderful grandchildren. It was not unusual for Jerry to retain clients over a 30 to 40-year period. In 2003, he retired as a partner from Sobel and Company and immediately went back to work for Sobel part-time. When he finally retired from Sobel and Company at the end of April of this year, he helped facilitate the transition of his clients. For me, his wife of 27 plus years, he added a new dimension. He was a goer and a doer with excessive energy. For over 12 years, we spent weekends at our apartment on East 80th Street. We explored all that New York City had to offer. He knew every route of the subway and buses and where it was best to transfer. He loved our Saturday night dinners with friends. He especially enjoyed entertaining our grandchildren who found time to stay with us in our one-bedroom apartment. He knew what each grandchild would enjoy, whether it was a show on or off Broadway, a trip to Ellis Island and the Statue of Liberty, the dinosaur collection at the Museum of Natural History, or the fashion designs at the Met, or even the Frida Kahlo Diego Rivera collection at MoMA. He checked the critic picks of movies and was an expert at picking the winners 99% of the time. We enjoyed traveling the world together. As recently as March of this year, Jerry explored the land down under, snorkeling at the Great Barrier Reef, taking in the Sydney Opera House, climbing the hills of Sir Edmund Hillary, and the land of the Maori. We explored the amazing land of Israel and the very different cultures of China, Vietnam, and Cambodia, Turkey, Greece, and South Africa. In Argentina, he marveled at the fascinating Iguazu Falls, sipped their Malbec, and enjoyed the tango dance shows. In earlier days, he loved driving throughout France, visiting the wineries and chateaus, just to name a few trips. He loved travel because he loved meeting new people and interesting people with whom he connected easily. And we were fortunate to have maintained wonderful friendships over the years. He was fascinated by his iPhone, if not addicted to it. He constantly was texting and receiving texts from his grandchildren and friends. His quest for specific knowledge was satisfied with frequent Google searches on his phone. He even had some fun recently when he learned how to use emojis. Most of all, Jerry enjoyed his role as chairman of the Committee of Holocaust and Genocide Studies at Raritan Valley Community College, where he helped plan the educational programs of speakers who were survivors of genocides past and present, telling their stories to hundreds of middle school and high school students in our area. His goal was to have young people learn how important it is to be upstanders rather than bystanders, and what happens when people don't take a stand against wrongful actions. He was very proud to have served for about 10 years on the executive board and as treasurer of the Jewish Federation of Somerset, Hunterdon, and Warren counties. Instinctively, in June, he decided to resign his position as treasurer so that he could help transition his role. He also served as a board member of our condo association, the Fairways, contributing accounting and people skills to make the Fairways condo a great place to live. Most recently, he completed a training program to be a mentor at the Jewish Family Services. And at the conclusion of that training, he was assigned to mentor a 79-year-old man. That was ironic because Jerry had just turned 80 in June. Then, on August 5th of this year, a diagnosis of metastatic lung cancer changed his life forever. Despite the expert doctors at Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center and Robert Wood Johnson in New Brunswick, the disease spread its havoc and he unwillingly succumbed to it. I know he planned these past few weeks to make sure he spoke with each member of our family. He knew he would be able to go in peace once Madeline came back from college this past weekend to sing and spend time with him. He loved all of our children, their spouses, our grandchildren, his devoted sister, and her extended family with all his heart. He was passionate about his work, his friends, travel, his house in Bridgewater and the New York City apartment, his daily 4 p.m. glass of wine, the New York Times, a great mystery novel, a rack of lamb or a crispy roasted duck dinner, and most recently began to enjoy Thai food. In addition, and to the humor of his children, he loved his 2008 Honda Civic, which was stolen in New York City, then surprisingly found by the police in the Bronx, and later returned to him undamaged. His legacy remains with everyone who knew him and loved him. We will all miss him, but none more than I. He was the love of my life and added an incalculable dimension to our marriage. To Benjamin, Madeline, Zachary, Noah, Emily, Georgia, Samantha, Adam and his wife Rachel, Jessica, Victoria, Andrew, and Amy, know that your Grandpa Jerry loved each of you very much. He wanted you never to forget him, and I know you never will. That's my Samantha.
I call upon Alan Rosen's wife, Jerry's nephew, partner at Sobel and Company, and who's also his son.
My name is Alan Rosenzweig, and Jerry was not only my uncle, but was my business partner and colleague for over 20 years. I'd like to spend a few minutes talking about my relationship with Uncle Jerry and how it changed over the years from a relationship which revolved around family, where we celebrated holidays and other family get-togethers, to one where we became true business partners. Growing up, we all remember those holiday dinners that inevitably turned to animated discussions revolving around politics, sports, and various other topics usually discussed at the holiday dinner table. My father and Uncle Jerry were usually on different sides of the discussion, and as a young man, I enjoyed seeing the give and take between them. Even though they had differing views, you always knew that there was a deep respect and love for each other. It did come as somewhat of a surprise to me when my father came to me in 1990 and told me that he and Uncle Jerry were discussing a merger of our accounting practices. I trusted my father's instincts that the merger was the right thing for us and for Uncle Jerry. And as we all know, it turned out to be a perfect fit. With my father and uncle as my business partners, and my mother running the office from the front desk, we had a real family business. I got to know Uncle Jerry as not only my uncle, but as a truly trusted business advisor who had the same core values as my father and I had. I learned that Uncle Jerry's clients respected and loved him and turned to him for both business and personal advice. I was proud that Uncle Jerry had the faith and trust in me that when it was time for him to retire, he turned over some of his most trusted client relationships to me. I think back to when my father, Uncle Jerry, and I sat around my parents' kitchen table in 1997 to discuss whether we would merge with Sobel & Company. We weren't sure what to expect, but both my father and Uncle Jerry knew that this was the right thing to do for our firm. Here we were, a firm of 7 people merging into this big firm. I can tell you all that Uncle Jerry, as he was known by many at Sobel, loved his time at Sobel & Company. He respected all of his partners and loved the interaction with them, and especially loved being around all the young people at the firm. Over the past couple of weeks, I came to understand the effect that Uncle Jerry had had on some of the people at the firm. People were constantly coming to me asking how he was doing, and they all wanted to pass along their heartfelt thoughts to him. When I saw him last Wednesday, I told him how much everyone loved him, and I know how much that meant to him. I know how much my mother loved her little brother. It was wonderful to see how both Jerry and Judy spent time with my mom after my father passed. They both included her in their family celebrations, and I know that she was very appreciative of that and loved having that time with them. In closing, I just want to say that Uncle Jerry was one of the good guys. He always had a smile on his face, and I don't believe I ever heard him say a bad word about anyone, or more importantly, I never heard anyone say a bad word about him. This is something that you can't say about most people. Rest in peace, Uncle Jerry.
I'd like to call up Jerry's children, Liz, Abby, and Susie.
Growing up, my dad was my superhero. I was the tomboy of our family since there were no boys. I loved making him happy, given he was surrounded by all females. He was my softball team's coach and my coach, and he tirelessly worked with me every night after he worked a long day so that I could make it onto the All-Star softball team, and we succeeded. He taught me how to ride a bike, mow the lawn, rake the leaves, shovel the snow, play basketball, to exercise and eat healthy, and do celebrity impersonations. He loved doing Laurel and Hardy and Jerry Lewis, and I impersonated Cher, and together we did Abbott and Costello's Who's on First. When I was young and got vicious fevers at night and hallucinated thinking the walls were closing in on me and my tongue was too big for my mouth, he was the one that could calm me. He was the only one I wanted to sleep near so that my nightmares could go away. He was my superhero. He came home every night for dinner and shared his day and always wanted to hear about ours. He helped us with our homework, provided for us, and challenged us to know about the world around us and to find a way to contribute to it. There are so many things that I will remember about him. Even his scent. He's smelling Old Spice then and even now meant my daddy was near. When we got older, life changed and our relationship became more complicated. We fought and didn't always do or say the right thing to one another. However, eventually we found our way back. We would meet for lunch or brunch, talk about business, politics, parenting, movies, or what was on exhibit at the New York museums that he and my stepmom were going to see. He always loved hearing about whether I landed the latest client, and he always loved hearing about the latest man in my life, always hoping that I found the one. His opinion mattered to me my entire life. He was my superhero. Speaking to him, you told me and my sister several times over the last couple of months that you felt blessed to have two good marriages. Even though your 24-year marriage to Mom didn't work out, you found a way to be friends after you divorced, modeling that post-marriage friendship for me. You were a relationship man, and I love that you found a love affair with Judy for the last almost 30 years. I found both of these relationships to be incredibly beautiful and inspirational. Thank you for our poignant discussions over the last few weeks. We both admitted some mistakes that we made in the past and apologized to each other for not always being the perfect dad or daughter. More importantly, you began to tell us all daily how much we meant to you, and it felt great to hear that you wanted us around every day. It was the closest I had felt to you since I was a child. We even shared a special moment a few hours before you died, when you pointed above us and you said, Abby, I see a green path. That might be an exit. And then he looked at me and he said, Abby, it may also be an entrance. Thank you for being my daddy and for being a loving and supportive grandfather. You told us your biggest fear is that we would forget you. I can promise you I will never forget you, nor will Maddie and Georgia or any of us. You have been the most important man in my life for 51 years, 9 months, 22 days, 4 hours, and 10 minutes. You were with me when I entered this world, and I was right near you when you exited. Until we meet again, please know you will forever be my superhero. I love you, Daddy, and I will miss you every second of every day for the rest of my life. Susie. Oh my God, there's so many people here. Oh my goodness. Oh.
How do you measure a man and what he has meant to so many? By the inner
inner strength exhibited at times when needed to support or calm others, by the wise advice given without judgment or opinion, by the soft touch to reassure those who doubted themselves, by the willingness to make fun of himself or creating laughter in order to make others feel safe or loved, by always sacrificing the needs of others above his own. My father was all of those things and so many more. He was a man committed to those who loved, and who in turn loved him fiercely. He was often quiet, but never without opinion. He was brave and strong, far beyond the slight frame would you have ever believed, but as gentle and as caring as possible. His words held meaning, and sometimes he could convey passion and sincerity without even speaking. He loved the theater, to travel, to read and experience life richly, with an infectious smile that could light up a room. My father never asked what was in it for him or what life held. He instead chose to face each day with an enthusiasm to conquer all that presented itself, and try to leave each day and personal interaction just a little bit better off than before he encountered them. I never lacked or wanted, never felt unsafe, but can still feel his presence without being able to touch him or see him. A poem by Helen Bush. Walk alongside me, Daddy, and hold my little hand. I have so many things to learn from you that I don't yet understand. Teach me things to keep me safe from problems each and every day. Show me how to do my best at home, at school, and at play. Every child, no matter how old, needs a gentle hand to guide them as they grow. So walk alongside me now, forever, Daddy. We've come so far, but I still have a long way to go.
As some of you know, I posted a picture of me and my dad on Facebook. We were sitting next to each other in the sand at the beach. I was probably no more than 2 years old. I was leaning into my dad and whispering something in his ear. I actually have no idea what I whispered to him, but whatever it was, I know that he listened very carefully. When I saw my dad this past Wednesday, I was again sitting next to him, but it was not on the sand at the beach. I was sitting on his bed in his room at home. This time, he leaned into me and whispered something in my ear. I know exactly what he said, and I too was listening carefully. He told me that he was not afraid of dying. He said, "Are you afraid you will forget me?" He cried and said, "I will miss you so very much. Dad, I love you so very much, and I will never, ever forget you. I too will miss you each and every day."
Going to have a few sets of grandchildren. The first set will be Jess and me and Andrew Seymour. Okay.
My name is Jess, but my grandfather called me, for some reason, Konsimoni Schlepkes. Don't know why. I Our grandfather was the kindest, most loving man we knew. He would welcome our presence every time we walked into the room, through his words or through his embracing hug. I remember when we were applying to college, he would obsess over the schools we were interested in. And then he would tell us which schools met his standards. He was so proud of all of our accomplishments and made sure to let us know it over and over again. His words will never be forgotten. Another one of my favorite memories is when he asked, after giving us a hug, he said, "What shampoo do you use?" My shampoo doesn't smell that good. And I thought, but he has almost no hair. Regardless, we told him the name of the shampoo, and he insisted he needed it. He cared so much about the little, specific, and random ways his grandchildren presented themselves, whether it was through their hair, or their clothing, or their interests. He loved it all.
Our grandfather helped show us how amazing we are, even if we didn't believe it ourselves. I'll tell you a story. So my grandpa knew that I had really bad anxiety about school and everything. So a few days ago I was telling him about all the good grades I've been getting, and then I was like, Grandpa, I have this test and I'm gonna fail it and it's just gonna happen. And he looked right at me and he said, don't you ever doubt your abilities. He told me I was so smart and I needed to be more confident. And I'll keep that with me forever. Just how he believed in me this week, he believed in the abilities of all of the people in his life so strongly. That's what made him such an amazing family member, friend, and overall amazing human being. We will miss him very much, but his outlook on life will always be remembered because it's so rare to find a person like he was. We'd be blessed and honored if one day we were half of the grandparents that he was. I love you.
So I'd like to call up some other grandchildren, Madeline and Georgia. And any other grandchildren want to join them, they can. Everyone's going to this way.
So, this week, I decided to write him a poem that will probably turn into a song because as he was very supportive of, I am a singer. When your soul flies, I know your eyes will always watch me. When your body goes, I hope you always know how much you mean to me. When it's time to say goodbye, I hope you never question the love I have inside. I hope I make you proud as you're looking down from heaven's cloud. I hope you think I'm strong when I'm scared without you, unsure if I can go on. So when your angel wings are flying over me, I'll remember when you were holding me. When your angel wings are flying over me, you'll help the sun so golden be. When your soul flies, I'll always have you with me. When your soul flies, I'll remember when you kiss my cheek. I know it's getting hard to breathe now, and you feel like giving up now. I just hope you know that when your angel wings are flying over me, I will always remember when you were holding me. When your angel wings are flying over me, you'll help the sun so golden be. I hope you get a good view from up there. You deserve to see the world in all of its glory, and I hope you've lived the life out of your story. I hope you know how much your angel wings will mean to me when you're surrounded by the beautiful, limitless serenity. I wrote this after my mom told me that I couldn't come home on Wednesday because Grandpa really valued education, and so she said I could come home on Saturday. And so I came directly to his house from the airport. And I'm really, really grateful that he waited for me to see him. he would want me to sing something today, but I don't know if I could get through it. But I feel really, really good that I was able to lay with him and hold his hand and sing to him, just him and me, and Santa and my mom in the room. So, like everybody else said, his fear was to be forgotten, but I don't think any of us would ever forget him. So, on behalf of all of us grandkids, we all love you, and we'll never forget you.
I don't sing, and you guys don't want to hear me sing. I also don't have anything prepared, but I just want to say I came home last weekend from my fall break, and I saw him, and he told me he was proud of me, and we're all proud of him too. So.
But moving, heartfelt words. The blessing of memory. It's hard to sing of oneness when our world is not complete, when those who once brought wholeness to our life have gone. And what with memory can fill the emptiness their passing leaves behind. But memory can tell us only what we were in company with those we love. It cannot help us find what each of us alone must now become. Yet no one is really alone. Those who live no more echo still within our thoughts and words, and what they did is a part of what each of us have become. As we heard in the heartfelt words of his family, Gerald Weissman left a rich legacy and touched many lives. The lives of his beloved wife, Judy, his children, Liz, Abby, Susie, his stepchildren, Susan, and Richard, and Helen, I'm sorry. His grandchildren, Ben, Emily, Madeline, Georgia, Zachary, Noah, Vicky, Jessica, Andrew, Samantha, Adam, and Amy, his sister, Ellen. In addition, he positively impacted the lives of other extended family members, friends, co-workers, and clients. So what was the essence of Gerald Weissman? Though I did not know him personally, I spent time yesterday, a few days ago, I guess, with his family, and this is what I learned. Jerry was a mensch, which is a Yiddish word for a good person, an individual of integrity, and one who performs acts of loving kindness. So what are some of the qualities of a mensch? He helped others. As it says in Leviticus 19, verse 17, do not stand idly by the blood of your neighbor. We all just heard about some of his volunteer projects, educating others about the Jewish Holocaust and similar international tragedies. And though he considered himself a cultural Jew, not religious, he said the Jews are our people, I am the Jewish people. He worked for many years with the Jewish Federation to provide for others in the communities of Somerset, Hunterdon, and Warren counties, from raising money to being a companion to seniors. He helped others by becoming a social activist for the civil rights movement. Another quality of a mensch is that he did things the right way, with an attitude of giving without expectations of return. We heard that he cared about his clients not just from a financial point of view, but as individual people with personal lives. He did things the right way. He was a peacemaker. He strove to make things right with his family and to make amends before he died. And he was a social and political activist. Another quality of being a mensch is striving to be a better person. He exercised regularly and was physically active. He cared for his body and understood that good health was nothing to be taken for granted. He treated all people as if each one was made in the image of God. He was compassionate. He made each person feel special. As I was told, if you were a friend of his, you were a friend forever. was interested in learning and educating others, whether it was about current events, politics, theater, or travel. He was striving to be a better person. He made humor a part of his life, which balanced the more serious concerns of the world and business. He nurtured, as we heard, others around him, inspiring others to grow and believe in themselves. He loved conversation, and he was a great listener. He modeled love. He loved his wife and family. He loved life. As in his living, there was grace in his dying. He had a checklist and wanted to make sure that there were no unresolved issues. It was important for him to see all of his children and grandchildren before he died. His granddaughter Jessica said to me that he had said to her, "I know I'm dying and it's going to be okay." He wasn't afraid of dying. He was, as we've heard, he was afraid of missing out on something or that he would be forgotten. So in not forgetting him, I'd like to share this reading called We Remember Them. In the rising of the sun and in its going down, we remember Jerry. In the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter, we remember Jerry. In the opening of the buds and in the rebirth of spring, we remember Jerry. In the blueness of the sky and in the warmth of the sun, we remember Jerry. In the rustling of the leaves and in the beauty of autumn, we remember Jerry. In the beginning of the year and when it ends, we remember Jerry. When we are weary and in need of strength, we remember Jerry. When we are lost and sick at heart, we remember Jerry. When we have joys we yearn to share, we remember Jerry. So long as we live, Jerry's too shall live, for he is now a part of us as we remember him. Psalm 23. Mismorda David Adonai ro'i lo echsar, bino deshet v'arvitzeni amen v'nuchot v'nachalenu. Adonai is my shepherd, I shall not want. God makes me lie down in green pastures, leads me beside still waters, and restores my soul. You lead me in right paths for the sake of your name. Even when I walk in the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, for you, God, are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You have set a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You have anointed my head with oil, and my cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of God forever. We now rise for El Male Rachamim, God full of compassion. El Male Rachamim, Shochem Haronim, Mazrim Nuchan Etomar, Tachat Kanfei Hashimah, Yim Kiroshim, Utehorim, Kizohar, Barakiyad, Mazhirim, Etishma, Gershon, Vayasol Rapel, Shechalat Yom, Baruch HaRachamim, Yastirechu Beseter, Knafazi Olam, V'yitzror ha'chayim et nishmato, Adonai hu nachalato, V'yanuach b'shalom ha'nishkacho, V'namar Amen. God of abundant mercy, God most high, may the soul of our loved ones who have gone into eternity find the gift of perfect peace in your embrace. With the holy and pure, whose light shines like the radiance of heaven. Compassionate God, hold Jerry close to you forever, so that his soul may be bound up in the bond of life eternal. May he find a home with you, and may he rest in peace. And together we say, Amen. We still continue standing share a poem before we will say the Mourner's Cottage together. When I die, if you need to weep, cry for someone walking the streets beside you. And when you need me, put your arms around others and give them what you need to give me. You can love me most by letting hands touch hands and souls touch souls. You can love me most by sharing your joys, multiplying your good deeds. You can love me most by letting me live in your eyes and not in your mind. And when you say cottage for me, remember what our Torah teaches. Love doesn't die, people do. So that when all is left in me is love, give me your way. I just want to mention also that before we say the cottage, that in this week's Torah portion, we will read from Genesis, from the very beginning of creation. And this is a very hard beginning, especially for the family of Gerald Weissman. So may God bless them with comfort, compassion, love, and all else that might help them during this time of mourning. And let us say, Amen. So may the love and eternal connection of our souls give us strength as we turn to recite the words hallowed by time. Sanctifying the name of God, we honor the memory of Jerry with the words of Kaddish Yatom, the mourner's cottage. Together, Mikadal, Mikadash, Shirah, Yalad, Ra, Muteh, Nidma, Muteh, V'chayedon, V'chayedon, V'chayed, V'chayed, Israel. Avalah, Islam, Harid, Amen. Yehesh She'elah, Barak, Yalam, Lamed, Amayim. Yiparak, Yishtarak, Yishtar, Yishman, Yitnaseh. Yihadar, Yitalem, Yitalal, Shnesh, Yishash, Yifud. Ve'elam, Yikol, Yirchata, Shirata. Tishbechata, V'nehemata, V'amirat, V'yamad, V'yibur, Amen. Yehesh She'elah, Shemaya. V'chayim, Levi, Al-Chai Yisrael, V'yibur, Amen. Osei Shalom, V'cholav, V'yaseh Shalom, Aleinu, Al-Chai Yisrael, V'yibur, Amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us and to all Israel, to which we say, Amen. Please be seated. So we have a few announcements I'd like to make. Those of you who are going back to the house, you will be able to pick up from somebody, one of the family members, some parking stickers so that you will be able to find parking. Shira today is from the family is receiving people from 4 to 9 today, and on Wednesday and Thursday between 2 and 5, 7 and 9. Your address is 101 Haverman Court in Bridgewater. And if anyone wants to make any kind of contributions or donations, they can always read the obituary. There are specifics there as to donations. And on behalf of the family, I want to thank you all for coming and paying respects. Thank you.